All right, wholesale weekly update. This is number 12 weeks in the book. I sent out 2 contracts this week. One is already terminated. That's fine. We'll sit down and talk about that. The other one, we're still kind of in the works of getting pictures. I did actually get to submit that one contract to the JV portal inside of TU. And the feedback I got from all 6 organizations was it's no deal. And I kind of knew this was not a deal. The situation that's going on is it's someone in Clover, South Carolina. He just owes too much on the house. He's basically about to lose it. And the only option that he had was to do a subject to. There's barely any equity, if any. It's probably negative cash flow after your PITI, and he has a solar bill that's attached to it. And just on top of that, it's a 5.7% interest rate, which is kind of good compared to things that are happening around right now. But it just wasn't a deal. Nobody would take it. There wasn't enough equity, and there was no cash flow play. I thought maybe that there would be potentially a buyer that would be willing to do the lower, no cash flow play just to acquire an asset for probably like $14,000 or $15,000, especially like a $400,000 property at $15,000. Like that's unheard of, but it's not a good investment if you're going to lose money on it starting at day one. So I completely get that. I wanted to see if I could help the seller out, but that's going to end in a termination. The other contract that I have is in Alabama. It is a fire damage property. It looks pretty bad. It's a brick home. There seems like there's still salvageable things, and structurally there's still some stuff there. I got this one at $10,000. I'm going to try to hopefully move it potentially at $20,000. I don't know if there's a deal there. I just submitted this to the JV portal last night, and we'll get the feedback from there. I was waiting on pictures, but I got a little bit in. I felt like there was enough to understand what kind of scenario we're in with this property to start to get some feedback and justification. She understands exactly what I'm doing. She's in a state of depression right now because she doesn't know what to do with this property either. I told her that I'm not the end buyer, but I would try to find the buyer for her and see if there was something I could do to get this moved along so she can get this done and over with her life. Another property I had, kind of a delusional hillbilly-ish kind of person, I forget what's this Mississippi. So, dude's gone through 3 different wholesalers for sure. He wants to have a contract that is essentially there's no due diligence. If you sign this contract, you will close at this price no matter what. And I had to have the conversation with him and say, no investor is going to do that. We have to have the due diligence. It's common and standard practice as well. That's just the way it is. And we had multiple conversations. Eventually, I got him to agree to give me a 2-week due diligence with earnest money deposited at the end of that due diligence period. He wanted a large sum, but in my mind, I felt like I could figure out if I could move it. So I did this one a little bit unorthodox. I went off the track. I said I was going to let Dispo portals or Dispo houses Dispo all my deals. I went backwards on this one. I went ahead, didn't have the signed contract with the seller right off the bat. I was negotiated with him to lock it up at $15,000, 2-week due diligence, and then an earnest money deposit that was due at the end of that. He was supposed to contact me back a little bit after we had that conversation, never did. And I said, you know what, let me just look at buyers in this area. I have a friend named Jim in TU who went on Investor Base and actually found a buyer. It's like the only buyer in that little area, and said, this dude's got like 17 deals that happened. So I ended up getting his number from Jim, calling him, and he says, yeah, man, anything in this area, I'm buying. He said, what's the address? I should not have given him the address because I did not have it under contract. I stated and had the rapport with him to say, like, listen, I'm all about building relationships. So here, you can have this address. And honestly, if I lose it, it's no skin off my back. It's completely okay. But it was just I found the buyer before. So now I'm still not under contract. The dude's driven by it. He's interested at the $20K. I said, that's what I'm looking at getting it for. Just a quick $5K assignment fee. And there's interest. He wants to get in and walk the property, but now I can't get the seller on the phone to sign the darn contract. So we'll see what happens with that one. That's a potential deal that's also underway, but there's some things that have to navigate. And I know I did that one completely backwards. I definitely should have did something slightly different, but I wanted to test the waters of trying to locate and find a buyer. And if I could line someone up before I actually have it, that makes sense logically in my head. Another deal that I have is this other property that It was a Sam's Club employee. She got into an accident. She's at the point where she's about to lose her house. She's been in forbearance for almost an entire year. The forbearance is up. She had a contract locked up at 200,000, and they were supposed to close this last Friday. And they ended up saying, like a couple of days before then, that they weren't going to be able to close at 200,000. They need to have a conversation about a different price. So I caught her there. I told her that, reality, I'm probably closer to 135, and that's not a number she wanted. And they ended up coming back to her later on that evening saying that they needed to be at 150, and she was really mad, saying that we had a contract, kind of the same with the Mississippi guy. And, what can I do? And I'm like, reality, there's not much that you can do. There's probably something in the contract that allows them to back out if it doesn't meet the condition of what they're wanting it. And so she's kind of in a tizzy. She has no idea what to do. I'm going to get back with her on Monday to let the dust settle on that and see if I can, work a number that might be reasonable for her to get this moved, because she truly needs this moved. I don't think that she likes my number, but it might be what she needs, and she might have to go with the route of what she needs and not necessarily what she wants. I will say this too. This week has been, since I had those two contracts, I had one that was working, and I had a couple other good conversations that potentially could be deals as well. My dials went down. I think it's that mentality of when you start to get a little bit of traction, your brain starts to look over in that direction, and you stop looking at the direction of continuously building up the pipeline. So I feel like I turned my conveyor belt off for a minute, and I know that that's the complete wrong thing to do. It's like the roller coaster effect. It's like you run for a little, you sprint and then you walk, and then you sprint and then you walk. For reality, you probably should just be jogging the entire time. So I need to be better about that next week. Not necessarily wholesale related, but my kids' last day of school is this coming up Wednesday. So my wife's also a teacher, so she should be, coming home and staying home with the kids as well. I'm curious to see what that will look like, to where, I can fully focus on this. I won't have my smallest one kind of around me in the morning. And, we'll see what happens with that. I think that that's going to be a game changer of, being able to call a little bit more than I have been able to over these last 12 weeks. We're still grinding. Ships are burnt. This is what we're doing. I got to get, again, better at conversations. One other thing, Jason Strickland, so kind of him and so nice of him. He agreed to, on Monday mornings, he's going to sit down with me for a little set period of time and review my calls and, give me feedback. I want to get better at my conversations. I want to get better at digging deeper on motivation, because I think that's still where I'm suffering. Is I'm getting a surface level. I think I'm having decent conversations, but I think if I can push a little bit deeper in the conversations, I can attach that pain to the end to potentially get more closed deals, or at least more contracts signed, which could inevitably end up to closed deals. So week 12 in the books. Remember, always stay happy, hungry, and humble, and we'll see you next week.